Good morning, chat. My name is Penbu, in the programming, puzzle gaming, and music making VTuber on Linux, and today we are continuing the web app that we were making yesterday. Pretty rare for us to do two programming streams in a row, especially one day after another, but in this case I felt it was appropriate. And I did say we weren't going to stream today, but it turns out I actually can stream today, and I do need to get this thing done, since we didn't finish it yesterday. So we are going to be continuing that. Hope you're all doing well. There is going to be a lunar eclipse tonight, so I do want to try to end before then, even if we don't finish. Assuming that it's not going to be cloudy on my end. Because there is a slight forecast for rain. And the way it tends to go around here, it tends to be cloudy whenever there's some sort of celestial event going on. It was very heavily cloudy during the solar eclipse the other week. But I don't know. It seems like it should be a little bit clearer today, so maybe I'll be able to go outside and take pictures. For those of you who don't know, I do have a small hobby in astrophotography. Yeah, we'll see if I'm able to get shots. Anyway, today we're going to be continuing this. Yesterday we built out all of this, including all the drag and drop functionality as well as the free functionality. Again, I can't tell you what this is for, but the idea here is that you have a pool of unsorted items here, and then you have to go in. The mechanism is that you can go in and sort them on this line here by some order. Calling this timelines is not necessarily has to do anything with time, but it is a convenient way to think about it. Yeah, so we struggled a little bit on the drag and drop portion. We're using a library called Svelte and Action, but it seems to be working well. After the stream, I had implemented focus and keyboard navigation, because apparently the library already allows you to do keyboard navigation. So I figured if it's already built in, I may as well update the preview as well for whenever you're focused on an element, because it's going to be convenient that way, and also be able to click on something to focus it. So yeah, turns out you press enter when something's focused, it goes into drag mode, and then you can press tab to go between the two areas here. So pretty convenient. I don't think I'll need that for the thing, but it is nice to have. Today we're going to be working on persistence. We need this to save after a refresh, because currently it doesn't. And then we also need an import-export system. And then optionally, if we have time, we can build in an edit system. I don't think I'll necessarily need an edit system, but it would be nice to be able to do that. But first, let's see what we have here. Yeah, a couple of things I made after stream. I put the length back to 20, and then for the dummy data, which we're going to be able to get rid of. Actually, I might extract this out into its own library function, just so it's not cluttering here. And then display items derived. I don't know if this is significant, but I realize that derived is probably the more correct way of going about it, especially since items can change when props are changed, and after items are actually I'm not sure about that. If items changes, does state get updated? Svelte state. I actually don't know. At least in React, this value is ignored the first time. State false. State.raw. State snapshot eager. State ruin allows you to create a reactive state, which means that your UI reacts when it changes. Unlike other frameworks you have encountered, there's no API for interacting with states. It just is. Deep state, that's fine. It doesn't actually explain that this value... It doesn't explain that this value is whether it gets updated or not. Interesting. I don't know. Maybe derived is correct, maybe state is correct. So derived is derived state, which is derived from either props or states. And you need this so that it actually runs and recalculates whenever the value is assigned. Now, whether we need state or whether we need derived here, I'm not sure. Maybe it actually makes sense to... Maybe it doesn't matter in this case. But you are allowed to... Actually, no, maybe... I'm trying to think, because the one difference between derived and state that's important here is that state will wrap things in a proxy, whereas derived doesn't. Winry, welcome in. We're just currently working on this. We built this out yesterday, and now we're going to need to add persistence to it. We built out the drag and drop, and then the preview on the left side when you hover over it. And you can drag it into here. And yeah, this will show up in... I will need this for a future stream. I can't say what that future stream is for yet, but it will be within the next month. For those of you who aren't familiar here, Winry is another VTuber who does more programming stuff. Shout out. And you have a stream tomorrow. Definitely be tuning in for that one. Yeah, currently trying to figure out whether derived or state is the more correct option here. I'm not sure it actually matters in this case. I set it to derived and it works, but it was also working with state, so we'll see if it changes with persistence. But first, we are going to move this. Happy to finally get back to streaming soon. Usually the past couple weeks, I bet. Okay, so we are going to move this into... let me move this to a new tab first, because it's otherwise too cluttered. Let's call this thing... I don't know. Dummy data.ts. Never worked in Svelte before, it looks very convenient. Yeah. I don't know if you ever worked in Vue, I think it's fairly similar. But I used to work in React professionally, and I hated it. But I quite like Svelte. Svelte 5 seems to be very, how shall I say, clean and intuitive to work with. Svelte 4 had a bit of oddities, especially with respect to reactive elements. But I think as much as it felt like it was moving a step away from the Svelteness, Svelte 5 actually does feel quite good with the new changes put in place. Would recommend giving it a shot if you ever get the chance. Okay, so we're gonna put that in here. Function, gonna export function dummy items. Create dummy items. Get a number here. What's the big difference between Svelte and React ideologically, would you say? So Svelte, its main... Actually, I guess I can show that off here. With React, it's you're working within JavaScript, and everything React is... So React works as a library that you use JavaScript to manipulate, whereas Svelte is more of a framework. It gives you, it gets you to write component files that are more HTML based. So here, this is a Svelte file. Here we have a script tag. This is where all your interactivity goes in. And then you have your template, which is largely HTML. You'll see some familiar syntax here. React uses fairly similar syntax, and then also the styles here as well. Whereas in React, you have to have either separated style sheets or use some sort of CSS and JS solution. Svelte has it all built in, and they're all scoped too, so the classes are all scoped. So anything, say if you have a work area class from outside this component, it won't be affected by this these set of styles here. The JS style and page structure altogether, yeah. So the Vue actually takes a similar approach, I believe. So I remember seeing this kind of structure in Vue as well. And if I recall correctly, Vue was actually influenced by a predecessor of Svelte. So that's probably why they look similar. But then what this also means that if all you need is a template, you don't need any of the other stuff. So you don't need this, right? You don't need this. You can just write HTML and it'll just work. Let's go ahead and do that. This is going to be length instead of 20, it's going to be n. We're going to create dummy items 20. I don't think we really need this anywhere else, but at least we can yeah, we can move this here so it's a little bit cleaner to look at. We're going to be importing create dummy items from lib/dummy data. Do I have? No, I don't have file completion here. I need to set that up. I know you can do that in Vim. There's a plugin for it. And I thought I had it installed, but apparently not. Right, and I didn't restart this, so... Save session? What's the Vim command to save a session? I'm gonna restart Vim, but I want all my tabs back. Make session. And while we're doing that, we're gonna also import the type. Okay. And then to load a session, I think we just SO thing, yeah. Session.vim. Okay, that should hopefully get rid of all the warnings we were getting with the Python. I need to figure out what's doing that. This import uses TS extension to resolve input to a TypeScript file would not be rewritten during emit because it's not a relative path. I would not worry about that. Add -p. I'm just gonna make sure that this does not work. Why? No items key provided in D&D zone. Create dummy items 20. Create dummy items 6. Export create dummy items. Oh, I don't return. Okay, we're just going to restart Vim then in that case. And just deal with opening all this stuff again. Source routes, note lib, components app. Yeah, we have all our stuff back then. We can do that, we can do that. And so now we need to persist this to the local storage. Because if we do a refresh, it comes back and it resets. But we want it so that when we refresh, we keep this state here. We can do that with somewhere in here. They actually changed the paradigm here, because it used to be you wanted to use Svelte stores, but now you don't want stores, you want something else. Now I don't know what that something else is in Svelte 5. Stores are still a thing that you can do, you can use, but I'm not sure what the new one, what the new thing is. If I can't figure it out, we'll just fall back for stores, because stores are still supported and are still handy. Reactivity props, binding, class attachment, advanced Svelte. Special elements, no script modules, basic SvelteKit, we don't need that. Reactivity. State, deep state inspecting, state universal reactivity. I think this might be, is this the one? States. Do we just actually use the state rune? Maybe. Maybe it is just that. I think the new way might just be to use the state rune. (2019) Svelte 3 turned JavaScript into a reactive language. Tightly optimized for runes. Do that. Step back. Use unsvelte-like. Isn't it better to have let count be reactive by default? Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier about it feeling a little bit unsvelte-like. Because prior to Svelte 5, this would basically be states, but you have to make it reactive, or is it? No, I think was it reactive by default or something? No, you had to use the $:: syntax to make it reactive, and then you export let count equals 0 to make it a prop. So there was a lot of magic going on in Svelte 4. Svelte 5, there's a little bit less magic. Implements a store contract. Can reference a store value by prefix and store name with $. This works, but it's pretty weird. Found in the story, if I can get it rather unwieldy when you start doing more complex things. With runes, things get much simpler. Okay, yeah, so you do just use state runes. And then you make it as .svelte.js, or svelte.ts in our case. Today, Svelte uses compile time reactivity. This means that if you have some code uses $: labeled to rerun automatically, dependency change. So that's in Svelte 4. This works until it doesn't. Okay, yeah, so the answer is to use runes. Now the question is, what's the best way to do that? Difference between lets at top level, $, different behaviors. Oh yeah, these are the obsolete ones. Now you no longer need that. Lifecycle store API and the store prefix. Store is no longer necessary, they're not being deprecated. Okay. So I think what it means is we need what I was going to have was we'd have we have an observer listening to some sort of state, and the observer is going to persist that state to local storage. We need to find a place to put that state. It could live in app.svelte, because we do already have pool items. Actually, we'll need 3 things. We'll need pool items, we'll need something is very wrong here. I think the library is doing, I think the library might be doing some tracking of its own. we're able to do this. Because I'm certainly not persisting anything. I should be persisting stuff. Because we should have let's line items as an item array that contains states of some array here. Right, and I bind this so we get two-way binding there, so that whenever items gets changed inside of here, it automatically gets changed up here as well. Okay, we're getting the Python issues again. What is this for? Auto tag? Oh, you know what it is. Hold on. We're gonna take a quick detour here. Van array updates auto tag. That might be why, because it's gone. We're gonna not deal with that. Vam deactivate. Vam remove. Vam. I need to unload. Okay, I guess we're just going to put up with it not. App.svelte. I'm just gonna put up with it not automatically updating my tags. That's fine. Not like I use it very much anyway. Oh yeah, so we have the preview item, which is this. We have line items, which is this, and then we have the pool items, which is this here. It should be the case that when they are updated, when we move from here to here, line items should get updated. And this is important because we need to know what the items are so we can persist them. And so we can do, there's an inspect thing you can do for this, state.inspect or something. That was inspect like this. The inspect rune is roughly equivalent to console log, with the exception that we'll rerun whenever its argument changes. Inspect tracks reactive state deeply, meaning updating something inside an object or array using fine-grained reactivity will cause it to refire. Which means we can just do inspect, debug, line items, pool items. Okay. This is good, because it means that we do get 1. We should get 2 now. We got 1 and 2, very good, and then we move it back out. And then we just get the 1, and then we get 19 elsewhere. Okay, so this is good. We get our states here set up properly. And now we don't need this, and we can go ahead and commit that. Stage this hunk, yes. No, because I don't know if we need that. Git status, git add source lib dummy data .ts, git commit, pull dummy data out into own file. And so now we can git add We can have this. We can have this. Still don't know if we need that. Track line items and states. Now it's possible that we actually do need... Okay, we can do this, no, hold on. Considering that I want import and export, does it make sense to have this as one entire object with two things? Or does it make sense to have this as two lines in local storage so that they both get updated independently? But it doesn't matter, because if you update this, you'll also end up updating this, because there's only two areas for them to go to. Or at least for the use case that I'm going for, because I don't actually need to reorder these within their own sections. I'm programming with a very specific use case in mind. If anything falls outside of that, I don't need to necessarily handle it. I only really need to move up here, and I think it would be acceptable to say that most of the time when we're changing these, we're going to be modifying both of them. I feel like this is going to get more reorders than or more single reorders than both of these here. Okay. So we're going to create a persistence layer. Lib here. Persistence.ts, .svelte.ts, just.ts. Maybe this makes sense to pull out to the persistence layer, but local storage. Or I can just do it here. I can say, I can just do it here. And then we can extract it out later. Because all this would be doing is basically mirroring the, mirroring the local storage keys. And I am, like I said, programming this for a very specific use case, and a very specific audience, so I don't actually need to be too robust about it. It does just need to work. I do think I need effect. So effects are functions that run in when state updates and can be used for things like calling third-party libraries, drawing on canvas elements, or making network requests. So if any of you are familiar with React, this is more or less the same thing as the actually don't remember what it is now. Is it the effect hook? Use effect hook. Use effect. Yeah, it's basically the same thing, but instead of having to say what your dependencies are, the Svelte compiler just knows what the dependencies are. So we can say effect. I'll give it a function. And then we can say local storage dot set item we're going to turn these into constants. Line items JSON.stringify line items. Now I hope this works with a proxy because it is a proxy. Actually, I think I need state.raw so I can save it to so I can actually stringify it. State.raw. So for those of you who aren't familiar with Svelte state, the way that it makes it reactive, at least for objects and arrays, is that it wraps the object or the array in a proxy, and it traps the get and set calls. So if you have an object or an array, you do have to unwrap it to get the underlying value. In certain cases. I should keep one of my tabs here. Pin state.raw, state.snapshot. Which one do I need? Take a snapshot of deeply reactive state proxy. Use state.snapshot. This is handy when you want to pass some state to an external library or API that doesn't expect a proxy, such as structured clone. If the value has a toJSON method, the snapshot will clone the value returned from toJSON instead of the original object. Or state.raw. Basically, we don't want objects and arrays to be deeply reactive. I think this might be for the initial state call, so I don't think this is it. I think we need state.snapshot. So interesting that it says if a value has a toJSON method, the snapshot will clone the value returned from the toJSON. Which means internally it's probably turning it into a JSON string and then parsing it back out. Which is a little bit weird, but okay. Because it does have access, or it should have access to its internal target object. On states dot snapshot and then line items. Then we do that again also for pool items. State dot snapshot pool items. And then we want then we want to be able to initialize that. But well, I guess first let's see if it actually does persist. So go in here in the storage, and go in local storage here. Oh, we're already getting stuff. All right, that's good. That's good. Now I did say it might make sense to have the entire states as one. And I'm thinking actually it probably does make sense to do that. We'll just have state here. We're gonna have JSON.stringify this entire thing. Line items, pool items is gonna be this. And then that's why we only have to do JSON.stringify once as well. And now we can delete this, we can delete that. And this allows us to export, simply export this string here, and then also import that string as well. Because that means then we have a function, we're going to need a function to import this, because the design will be, you're going to be able to import a state string. How long is this? You're going to be able to import a state string. Oh, that might be a little bit long. But I think it should be fine. Yeah, you should be able to import a state string from your clipboard or wherever, and it gets added into here. So ideally, I think we extract this out into some place, but for now, we're just going to leave it here because it works. Persist states to local storage. Persist app states to local storage. Now, if we're using something like Redux in React, this would be the kind of thing that we'd be looking at. We'd have a whole separate state system. We don't really need that for an app this small, I think, but we might extract this out into its own thing. So how do we work with the imports? We can do function import. Import state as a string. State snapshot as a string. We're gonna do JSON.string or JSON. What is this? JSON.parse. State snapshot. We're gonna wrap this in a try, because sometimes it will fail. Catch error. I don't know if we necessarily care about that. Line items is equal to an empty array. And pull items is also equal to an empty array. Console.error. We'll just log that out to the console. We should probably have some sort of visual indication as well, but we're going to leave that out for now. And so we're going to destructure this directly. Is that going to work? Is Svelte going to be able to pick up on that? Let's try. Line items, pool items, because they get assigned. They do get assigned, which means it should be able to handle that. Unexpected keyword. Oh, right. Snapshot. Import snapshot. And then we need to actually do the import. And this is where we start moving things out. Local storage dot get, I think it was. Get item. Get item. Once again, we will need to pull this out into its own constant. We'll do that later. 500, because of course it did. State snapshot string is equal to empty string. Empty object. Add in some defaults. Alright, what else is wrong with you? Can't read properties of undefined getting and reading get item because local storage. Window.local storage? Shouldn't need it. Local storage. Oh, right, because this only runs on the... I need to make sure that this only runs on the browser. That makes sense. So SvelteKit runs on both, has both a server and a browser component, and it will do a server render by running the app first. and which means this has to only run on the browser. We need to figure out how to do that. So SvelteKit, for anyone who's familiar with the React side, is kind of like Next.js. It's an all-in-one solution for server side and client side, and is the recommended way to use Svelte. You can use Svelte without SvelteKit, but it is useful to have. Actually, I think this might not be a SvelteKit thing. This might just be a Svelte thing. It end. No. App end. It might be this one. Imports browser from app/env. I feel like there's a different way of doing this. Svelte only run on browser. On mounts. I don't think that's the new way of doing it. SSR. Okay, so I guess this is the way to do it. App/env. What happened to environment? What's the difference? Alias of app and environment. We use explicit environment. Use when explicit environment variables are enabled. Okay, we want this, and we only want to do this if browser. Then we run this. And it runs, which is good. Local storage, we have state line items this, very good. And now we want to. Now we broke something, or not. I guess that's fine. We do see it being. Yeah, we do see it being updated here. Now, in the moment of truth, we refresh. And we get it all back, which is good. And we refresh, and we get it back. Now, if we wanted to make a little bit of a nicer UI, we can say that if we're still importing the snapshot from local storage, then we should hide this, but I don't think I care too much right now. We're gonna go ahead and just do that. Persist app state to local storage. Then what's the difference here? Import snapshot. Ah, yes. Okay, so this is read state from local storage at startup. The way that this is built means that we only are allowed one app per page, but also I don't actually care. It's fine. And now we can move these out. Sort of. Actually, that's an interesting thing, because this being... I think we would actually have to move line items and pool items into its own file. And then we import it from here. And then we have the file manage the state. Which feels a little bit weird, but it is something that we can do. And what we would have to do if we if we want to move this out. But, as I said, I'm not looking to make this super clean, so I can just leave this here for now. It may or may not end up elsewhere in the future. I do only need this to work here. We're going to move some other stuff into state. So the first and last here, these also need to go into states. So let labels is going to be an array or a tuple. String, or not. Do I want to bother making this? Let labels. I'm gonna have to leave this untyped. This is going to be before, after. This is going to be first. This is going to be last. And that's what we have here. And then this is going to be wrapped in state. State.snapshot, labels, import snapshot, and now we get to go ahead and do that. Labels is equal to object labels is equal to an object. A little bit weird that it doesn't recognize this, but okay, that's just syntax highlighting. Tonight we'll come in. I'll switch over to the screen in a little bit. Going to be labels.before, labels.after, and now it's gone because of course it is. That's because it doesn't have it here. And it doesn't have that by default. So we're gonna have the default here be I don't like this. Should probably move this elsewhere. It's gonna be like this. Maybe a defaults file or something. But we can move that out later. Although it is important to be recreating this every time because otherwise it does. Otherwise, if it changes in the future, we end up changing this object. So it needs to be a different object every time. So maybe this is fine. Otherwise, we would need some sort of clone function, which is fine. We're gonna get rid of this so we can get the defaults. So you get this. You do get that. If local storage dot has item state, and we've used this 3 times now, we really should pull this out to its own constant. and move the entire state system into its own module. If it has that, then we import the snapshot into here. Otherwise, we don't do that. I think that's how we're getting the stuff overwritten. Not read properties of undefined reading get item. Is that no? That's old. What's wrong with you? Has item is not a function. Is there no has item? I thought it did. Dot key, get item, set item, remove item, clear. I guess there is no has item. I swear there was. But okay, if there isn't, then I guess we just get the item, and if it comes back empty, then okay. Can you do a if let's? Can we do this? I don't think we can. I don't think this is valid JavaScript, but if we can, I'll do it. Okay. All right, fine. If state snapshot, then we import. Which means on our first run, we should have nothing, and it should populate with this, and then it should populate with that. Very good, which means later on, we get that. Very good. And it should stay there. And we're going to ignore that it updates. Because otherwise we'd have to wrap all this in an if, and I don't want to do that. Or we don't wrap it in an if, and then I just add a class. Probably the way to go. Git status, git diff. It looks like the skies might actually be clear tonight. We'll see. For those who missed me saying it earlier, there is a lunar eclipse tonight. In about 2 hours, what was it? So in about an hour, the penumbral eclipse starts, but that's not very interesting to watch. It's when the umbral eclipse starts that there's stuff to look at. And it'll last for about, what was it, 2 hours? I know the peak is around 12:22-ish, I think, my time. Was that an hour? Yeah, something like that. Math. With lunar eclipses, they're a lot more forgiving in terms of time and location. We're not getting a total eclipse, it's only partial, but the partial that we're getting is very close to total. Which, unlike a solar eclipse, is good enough. Because the difference between a total solar eclipse and a partial solar eclipse is very, very stark. If you ever get the chance to travel a little bit to totality, you really should. But the difference between a lunar eclipse, partial and total lunar eclipse is not very much. So having like 99% total, 99% total is fine. Okay, what did we do here? We persisted labels. We actually did two things here. Git add -p. Yes. Yes. No, we're gonna put that in separate commits. So they can be customized later. Do not overwrite initial states if there is no snapshot is empty. That's a little long. Don't overwrite state. No, I don't think I care enough. This allows the app to initialize the state with dummy data on the first run. Maybe we do actually end up keeping the dummy data. Now, I do want to see something though. If we change this to state, does that change anything? Not meaningfully. I think they're largely equivalent. It may affect it later on if items gets changed, but I think I'm just going to keep this as derived. Because it is derived. It's derived from the items, and we only temporarily change it when we're sorting. And the version of Svelte that we're using does allow for us to write to a derived state. Our current version of Svelte allows us to temporarily write to derived states to make eager interactions. Sure. Okay, so do we pull this out? I guess we can pull this out. Or we can leave it because it works. What do I need to make out of this? That's persistence. That is more or less persistence. I need customizability, but even if I don't end up writing an editor for this, it's fine. One thing I do want though, I think I need to take out inside of app.html, not app.html, routes the page. I need to move this out and move the title inside of here. Because I need to be able to customize this too, I think. Now we don't need the style tag. We can just have the import app tag here. And then timelines here can be part of state as well. This allows the title to be customizable. Customize. Welcome in. Streaming, check Twitch. You saw online. Yeah, I know. I said I wasn't gonna stream. I know yesterday I said I wasn't gonna be streaming today, but it turns out I can stream, and I do need to get this done. So we're making more headway into it. I can't stream tomorrow. That's when it is. But yeah, we're gonna be here for a little bit longer. There's a lunar eclipse happening in about an hour. But I can afford to go on a little bit longer because the penumbral eclipse is kind of boring to look at. Unless you have a telescope and you're taking photos. Because the penumbral eclipse, so there are two shots. Can I just put this up? Wikipedia of lunar eclipse. Where is the? Yeah, so the penumbral eclipse is when the moon goes into this area of the Earth's shadow, which is not very dark. So if you're just looking with your eyes, you aren't really going to see anything. It gets interesting when the moon goes into the umbra, which is the darker shadow, and so that's when the moon actually turns red. So that's going to be in about 2 hours. So it's going to be in about 2 hours, and the peak will be in about 4 hours, I think it was. Let me just check here. Lunar eclipse. For my area. The timing is all the same for everyone else anyway. I'm like same instance adjusted for your time zone. So the maximum eclipse is going to be 12:12 my time, so that's Eastern time. That's going to be in about not 2 hours. So it's two. Why can't I? So it's about an hour and a half, a little bit over an hour and a half from the partial eclipse, starting in about 2 hours. So 2 hours is when the interesting bits happens, and then about an hour and a half after that is when the peak is, when the maximum eclipse is. Yeah. Okay, and then it reverses after that. So once you get past the peak, it's all just the reverse. You can, it's more or less the same. You can either stick around and see it turn back to white from red, or you can just stop watching. Lunar eclipses are they're cool to look at, but once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all. Not quite as certainly not quite as exciting as a solar eclipse, but if you've never seen one, if you've never seen a lunar eclipse before, this is a good night to do it. Right, okay, so now we have the title here. I'm gonna add that in here as part of the labels. Labels.title. I'm going to remove this. Labels as default labels. One of the issues about doing it this way, oh, you know what? I could, if I wanted to, I could do this. No, I don't think I can do that. Never mind. No, I'm not going to do that. Never mind. I think there is probably a way to destructure that and have everything go into their respective places. It's kind of convoluted. We're not doing that. Okay. I want a subtitle. No, but we're gonna add this. We're gonna add a commit for this first. Add app title to persist app title. Again, so we can customize it later. And then we're gonna have a subtitle, which is gonna be empty. Or it's just maybe not going to be empty. Put the items in order. Just so we can see it, I guess. This is going to turn into a header. Labels.subtitle. And we're only going to render this if it exists. Labels.subtitle, because we may not have one. I don't know if all of my use cases are going to have one. It probably will, but just putting it out there. It's going to be title, subtitle. I think this has margin that I want to collapse. So this has some default margin. Margin block at 0.67 EM, which we can add. Margin 0, and then there's going to be title header. This is going to be margin bottom 0.67 EM. Which is actually a little bit different because the what was it? The EM in this for this element is not the same as the EM for the header element. I'm gonna move that over here. Subtitle, font size, smaller, font style, italic. Maybe I don't need italic. Yeah, I think that's probably acceptable. And we're gonna make it 1 EM. A small, tiny difference, but I think it's probably important. Yeah, alright. That's good. Yeah, I think we definitely do want to pull these out into its own thing. it does mean that we only have one global state. One global state? One global state for the entire thing? Yeah, actually, yeah, that should be fine, because then we can make this one global state, and we can just have create states, and then we can refer to them as state.line items and state.pool items and state.labels, or something. And then we can import snapshot into the state. And stuff like that. I don't know. There are definitely ways to clean this up. I don't know if we need to do that right now. The important thing is that it does work. But this is annoying me a little bit, so I'm going to change this. I have an array here. It's going to be work area, and also is initializing. Initializing, we're going to have this as visibility hidden. Capacity 0. And we're going to put that inside of here. And we're going to do transition capacity at 2 seconds. Is that how you do that? We looked this up yesterday. Transition. Margin right 2 seconds. Yeah, so that would be how you do that. But there is something wrong here. It's initializing is not defined because we haven't actually looked at haven't actually done that yet. Let is initializing equals state. This is going to be false. And then after we've initialized, which is going to be after the import, it's going to be here. Is initializing equals false. We need this to be true. True to start. Okay. That is not what we. That's not what we need. Import snapshot. Is it because we need to wait for the next tick? Is that it? I think that might be it, because we need to wait for the next tick. There is a tick here. Lifecycle hook. While there's no after update hook, you can use the tick to ensure the UI is updated before continuing. Tick returns a promise that resolves once any pending states changes have been applied. Import tick from Svelte. I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but I think part of the reason we're seeing this is we set it to true, we immediately go to setting it to false afterwards, so it actually never ends up at false. But the interesting thing is that we do actually get to see these. Like the initial state first. Oh, no, it's because I did my CSS wrong, that's why. So we don't actually need tick. That's too slow. But it does work. One second. I'm a little bit concerned that we're getting shifts here. Oh, it is because in storage we have it with can't see this. In storage we don't have it with the with periods. That's actually expected. I kind of do want the labels up top, but also it doesn't actually matter too much. Okay, so what if we remove this? We remove this, and then it just doesn't. That takes way too long. You'd think that it would be less time if we didn't have state. Actually, it's the same amount of time. Yeah, that's fine. This is where you'd put in a spinner, or your not, or the, what do they call it? There are these elements here that you can use for replacements that animate. They have a name. I don't remember what those are called. They're an alternative to spinner. Skeleton boxes or something like that. Because it shows you what the thing is going to look like. And so the user expects to see something there, but they aren't seeing a spinner. So it makes it a little bit more, it makes it feel a little bit more reactive. But I don't actually care about this here because it's fine. Git add -p. I'm gonna split this up. We don't need tick anymore. No, so we're gonna put the subtitle in first. I'm gonna split that. We're gonna take this. Not do this. We are going to take all of these. I'm not gonna take that one. Add subtitle to app. Add -p. And take all those. Git commits. Hide app until loading. Until state has been loaded. Until state snapshot has been loaded. Without this, actually, the reason this happens is because we have, it's because we have server-side rendering. If we don't have server-side rendering, none of this actually does. None of this matters. So maybe the solution is to not run that on the server side. There is a flash of content due to server side rendering. the proper solution is to probably to not render these elements on the server side. Or to render placeholder. Was it skeleton? Yeah, this placeholder preview content for the data gets. Yeah, so I guess it is. I think it is called a skeleton, because that's what this is. The Svelte have skeletons. Now, unfortunately, now there's a UI library it seems that's called skeleton, so this is not going to be alright. Skeleton placeholder? I don't feel like I need to bring this in though. Yeah, so this thing. That's fine. Like I said. Okay. So now that that's that, we have no more uncommitted code. There is still this bit where if I don't have anything in the preview, it doesn't show the preview, but I think that's probably fine. Do I want to touch this now? Because we should probably rip this out into its own thing. But also, kind of don't want to touch it. We should before I start working on the editor, because I have time to work on the editor, I think, on the editing interface. And this needs to be extracted out into its own thing before we do that. So I guess we do it now. We have time. We can probably do it. Okay, so we had a thing here. I think I called it persistence. State.svelte.ts. We'll call it state.svelte.ts. Maybe app state. Just make it unambiguous. Basically these. Import snapshot, try. Remove all that over here. It's Rukia, welcome in. We're currently just working on this and trying to do a bit of refactoring. The main functionality of this app is more or less done. We're just trying to clean up the code a little bit. And then after that, attempt to write an editing interface. Hi, welcome, Single Mobile, welcome in. I see you got caught by the auto mods, probably because that does feel like a little bit of a spam message. And then Twitch is an ads. Am I from the States? No, I am from Canada. The .ca down there at the bottom should clue you in on that. Create PP for creatives and devs and product people so they can share their portfolio, maybe some interest in using it. Maybe a little bit iffy. Probably not in this stream, but happy for you. No, just sharing my portfolio. Yeah, I would say it's probably not a good idea to go around to random streams and sharing your portfolio out of the blue. Because that is a little bit spammy, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, where was I? Right. Okay, so we were extracting this out. We're gonna do this. So we have line items, and there was a thing about not exporting the state on the same line, or is it default exports? What editor am I using? Because it looks old style. I've never used any other than Visual Studio. This is Vim. I'm working inside of a terminal. So if it looks old, that's probably why. Vim.org, send that over. Vim. I thought it was vim.org. What do they do to the site? So if you can, no, it's all right. Yeah, it's Linux old heads will you'll find that they're either using Vim or Emacs. Some of the newer folks will use Nano. They're working on the terminal. I have Emacs around, but for the games, I don't actually use it as an editor. As they say, Emacs is a great operating system, lacking in a good text editor. Yeah, Nano exists nowadays as a simpler alternative. And then there's also the visual, the more graphical editors like Visual Studio Code. Yeah, I'm not using JetBrains. This is Vim. Why? I've been using Vim since 2012. So I've been I find it to be a little bit more efficient, especially when editing, because it lets me jump around and stuff. And it's available more or less everywhere, especially these days with Windows having WSL. There's a very good chance that Vim is in the environment that you're in. Linux is best for Windows. Yeah, that's fair. My gift, welcome in. What am I building? I'm building a web app here that lets you take these items and then put them in order here. We're going to be using this for a future stream. I can't tell you what it's for, but it will show up again in the next few weeks. But yeah, we have the basic functionality here. Now we're just working on the data portion, because these are all dummy data. And we have in this stream we worked on persistence, so now it's persistent to local storage, and now we just need a way to build out the data. So we're gonna turn this. We're gonna start working on an editor for this, maybe, if we have time. As I mentioned, there is a lunar eclipse, and I do want to catch that. That's gonna be in about 20 minutes for the penumbral eclipse, but also the penumbral eclipse is kind of boring to look at. The real stuff, the meat starts in about an hour and a half. And you share links to your work. I I mean, I guess you would ask now, so I guess sure, but I'm not going to be looking at it on stream. But thanks for asking. Where was I? Right. So right now we're working on on refactoring this, because originally it was in the app states or in the app components, but this is better off in its own thing. And there was a thing about exporting states, Svelte's export states defaults, that we have to be careful about. Svelte components. And then right, there's a, sorry, I'm feeling a little bit sidetracked here. Webby, I would at least say that if you are going to be promoting yourself in someone's chat, you should at least be following them. I'll put that out there. Okay, if I can help you, because I am React developer, my friends suggest me to learn TypeScript. I need to learn that too, so my English is not good. Yeah, no worries. Hopefully this is a bit of an educational experience. I'm using Svelte. I used to be a React dev professionally, but I actually don't like React. I enjoy Svelte much more, and so that's why we're using it here. Yeah, hopefully, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Why am I making what I'm making? It's because I need this for a future stream. So we're building it on stream so we can use it for a future stream. I'm being intentionally very vague about this because I can't disclose what that is yet. But you will see this again in the next few weeks. And why don't I like React? I don't know, it's just something about it. It feels a little bit verbose. The whole hooks thing is a bit magic. I find it just overall not pleasant to work with. I'm not sure I can pinpoint what it is, but that is the feeling that I get. Feels like a lot of boilerplate too. What about Vue? So before I found React, before I found Svelte, I was actually looking into Vue, and it aligned with how I felt about components and stuff. So I think I would enjoy Vue, but Svelte is here, so it's Svelte being a little bit more performant and whatnot. I don't see much of a reason to use Vue, but between Svelte and between React and Vue, I would probably choose Vue, not having tried Vue at all. Just for the record. Vue or Next.js? I don't think I have much of an opinion on the difference there. Next.js. Okay, so it's I guess it's like Next.js but for Vue, or SvelteKit for Vue. Makes sense. Yeah, I don't think I have much of an opinion on the full stack tools, mostly because I haven't used them. I can at least say that for SvelteKit it's usable, so I don't mind using it. But for the other ones, the project that I was working on for React was old enough that I don't know if Next was a thing or popular enough to have been used, because I know that we definitely didn't use Next for. But also another team was building out the API portions, and that wasn't that was written in Java, not JS. So maybe we didn't actually need a backend for it. Into the superset of like Reacts or Svelte. I don't know what it refers to here. What am I looking at? Right, okay. Coming back to this. We need to export these. And I was looking at the thing, there was a gotcha with exporting Svelte states. Oh, sorry, I think I misread your message. Svelte, like React, which is just a JS superset. No, okay. So Svelte is more like a compiler. Whereas React is a JavaScript library with a bit of transformation with JSX, which is optional. Svelte acts more like a compiler where you have .svelte files, and so it works. I guess it works more like Vue. So it's not really a JS superset in that sense. Like you do have JS in it, but I wouldn't frame it as a superset. I would maybe frame it more like an HTML superset in a way. Although I guess strictly speaking, it could be. But yeah, I wouldn't frame it that way myself. Export let defaults. No, that's older Svelte. Svelte 5, share components between. Use state with objects, not strings. That's fine. Use any property you want. That's fine. Don't reassign objects. Outside of their scope, when you use an object, they're not states themselves. I think this was the gotcha. Looks a bit like React. Only in that React also has a template, and that they both use JavaScript. But the way you work with the template is very different. Syntax-wise, yeah, like syntax-wise, both React and Vue draw from HTML and JavaScript. So they're of course going to be very similar. Rika, it's fine. Everyone has preferences. I love Python backend more than JS, but my peers won't allow me to. Yeah, that's fair. There are certain reasons why you would want to change or want to use a different language or the same language for front end and back end. Performance is one reason, and ease of use is another reason. Familiarity is yet another one. One of the reasons why Node is popular on the back end is because if you're writing both the front end and the back end yourself, it's nice to have just one language to work in. But if you don't have that restriction, then it doesn't matter as much. Okay, where did I read this? Because this is a thing. This is a thing that that I need to be aware of. Not import states inside components. And I can't bind. Oh, that's actually going to be a bit of an issue because I can't bind. Can I bind properties? I think I can. How do I try Ktor? I've never heard of that. Build asynchronous servers and clients in Kotlin. I've never used Kotlin. I know of it because it's used for Android, and also there's a you can also use it for Gradle, I think. But I haven't actually touched Kotlin at all. I used to program professionally in Java several years ago, but my Java is outdated. I think my last time I worked with it was still Java 8 or Java 10. It's like better version of Java. Yeah, I've heard Kotlin has a lot of improvements over Java. It is still a JVM language, so it's all compatible and stuff. Yeah, I haven't had a reason to use Kotlin, so I haven't really looked into it. Check some Kotlin Ktor syntax. I've seen Kotlin syntax, that's fine. Ktor being a framework inside of Kotlin, I'm sure it looks like Kotlin. But yeah, it's fine. If you know what you're looking for in Kotlin code, it's not too bad. If you're used to other languages that look different, then sure, yeah, it might look a little bit strange, but yeah, this looks okay to me. Bind group, bindable. So maybe I do need to export a state object, a single state object. Let's I would still prefer to know what that gotcha was. What is state and how does local reactor state work? Not this one, not that one. Use effect, no, this is all within the same thing. I need it in a separate file. Keep the state file local, export getters, export the getters. Oh yeah, no, this is it. You can't export a reassignable state binding directly. The intuitive pattern fails. Yeah. Exporting a reassignable state binding from module like this triggers the documented state invalid export compile error. The verbatim message cannot export state from a module if it is reassigned. Either export a function returning the state value or only mutate the state value's properties. Which is probably what we're going to end up with doing. The error fires because the exported state is reassigned, which is fine. Let's export cannot do safely across the module boundary. So we can do this. We can do export let app state export default app state is states of some object here that's going to be line items is this. Pool items is create dummy items here. And then labels is some object that contains all these. And then I think the effect actually has to stay inside of this. Or maybe it doesn't. Oh no, it doesn't, because the reactivity comes from this. So set item states, JSON.stringify. Then now we can just do a state.snapshot of app state instead of this entire thing. We actually do technically need a try catcher because set item could fail. But I think this might be... Is this asynchronous so we can just let it fail and we get a thing in the browser console anyway? And then we move this, put this over here. Import browser from app environment, that's fine. If browser, then let state snapshot is equal to this. Item get state. Export a const object, mutate its properties. I guess we can call this const, sure. Binding never reassigns, only properties change. Every importer reads the same proxy. Keep the state file local and export getters, which we'll probably need for the is initializing. Any component imports to do store reads that. How does state behave inside classes? I don't think I care. Destructuring captures value, not a binding, sure. Native maps set date URL classes, instance proxy stops at them. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Then we export we do let's is initializing equals true, but state, which I think we should have just pulled from here. And we can do function is initializing and that's going to return is initializing state. Because we do have that export function is initializing. I feel like we need something else in here. This is feeling a little bit spaghetti. Export function, import snapshots, state string, this. And default labels is that. And I want to turn to get this as function get defaults labels, return this. And again, the reason why we want this is because we want a new object every time. We can get oh, maybe get's fine. Create default labels. Man, how do I organize this? If is browser cannot find name effect, but that's fine. We're in svelte.ts so you can actually see it. Create dummy items does not exist. That's a real thing. That needs to come from there. Actually, I'll come in kind of more general comment. Major respect for working on this so hard. Sometimes when I use an app like this, I forget to consider how much work and thought went into it. Yeah. Yeah, welcome in. It's, in this case, I'm working on it because I need to. These days when I program, I feel like I program, if it isn't for some sort of interesting challenge, I program because I need it for something, and in this case, necessity drives the implementation. Yeah, but I'm not making this super robust because I do need this for a very specific use case and a very specific set of users, so I can get away with being a little bit sloppy. It is turning out to be more work than I expected, though. Okay, we can use const there. Line items. Was it this way? Was it this way? Is that the way to do it? I don't think we can do that. You can do that when you have an iterator destructuring, but I don't think you can do that for an object destructuring, which is a little bit unfortunate. Or fortunate, depending on how you look at it. Oh wait, you can? Oh wait, you can. Look at that. Properties A and B are assigned to the properties of numbers. Okay, very good. So we can do this. Whether you should or not, I don't know. It's certainly uncommon for you to see this. Maybe it should be used more. No value exists in the scope of shorthand. That's fine. Export interface app state. This gets a title, which is a string, a subtitle, which is a string. Labels, line items. No, this shouldn't even be here. Maybe it should be here because it only needs it. Yeah, it should be here because if you don't need it, the only time you will need this is if you're going to be using app state, and so you may as well pull it from the same place. Okay, that makes sense. Labels is this. Line items, that's from the outside. Title, subtitle, before string, after string. Line items is an array of items which we're going to need from this. Do we actually use this anywhere else? No, we don't. Okay, so we can move this over here. So import type item, we get this, we got line items, we also have pool items, which is that, and then we get labels, which is this. We get default labels, which returns an app state labels. Export interface app labels, which is going to have these things. I think that's maybe a little bit cleaner. Which then we can say this is app labels. I don't know if the TypeScript checking actually works, but at least we have this. Const app state is app state, except no, because state here is a proxy. Actually, that's fine, because the proxy is a subtype of the thing that is it. Svelte state type. I think it should be fine. Typing state, like any other variable. You don't give state initial value. Part of its types will be undefined. You can pass the type directly as a generic parameter to safely handle this. TypeScript will refer to the variable as number or undefined. You know that a variable will be defined before you first use it. Use an adds casting component type. Okay. So you can just type it as normal. That's fine. And this is going to be Boolean. This is fine. State snapshot. So I should care. This is a Boolean. Import snapshot is void. Take a string. Get default labels. I think we typed as app label. Yeah, app labels. Try. Then we get this. Dot labels. This is something we can do. Is that something we can do? I think it is. Appstate.labels. I'm putting too much work into this, into a case that I'm not actually going to end up needing. Maybe. Title is equal to default labels.title. And what's the point? Hold up. No, you don't do this. You don't do this, because what you can do is instead you do this object.assign to an empty object default labels. And then no, you can't do that. You can't do that. Okay, I'm trying to be a little bit too clever here. Let labels. We're just gonna have labels out on the outside here. Appstate.labels is equal to object.assign a new object default labels and labels. Yeah, I think this is correct. Now, the existence of this line suggests that maybe I should be doing this, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so to explain what this does, object assign here basically takes this as the base object and then replaces any properties that are defined in labels with the stuff that's in labels. So it's effectively a merge of these two with this taking precedence. And then we're assigning that to labels here. Would have been nice if I had a way to do that in here, but I don't think there is. app state.labels is then default labels, it's fine. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, let's go with that. I haven't actually changed anything yet. So from here we're going to be imports, is initializing, and also app state from lib/app state.svelte.js. I think they should actually be .js, but it hasn't given me any problems yet. Is initializing. I need to find this name elsewhere. Okay, that's fine. So everywhere we have labels, we'll need app state labels. We need these, and then also items. Pool or what is it? Line items. With app state dot and then the same thing. It's just the two, I guess. Everything else should be okay. And maybe this will just work. Of course not. We spent too long coding and then didn't check anything. Of course it's not going to work. Okay, what's wrong here? Effect orphan. Effect can only be used inside an effect during component initialization. Okay. We're gonna create a function called export function persist state. Which is gonna do this. This feels wrong. And it's because this is relying on this is relying on as a video that I had watched recently. This is the dishonest function because it doesn't take the state in from its function signature or it's this value or anything like that. It takes it from the environment. Means this is not a testable function. But we're not testing things anyway, so it's fine. I'm gonna avoid that just in case. It's not strictly necessary, but the function to effect does expect a function as a return value if you do return something. And that would be the cleanup function. And so we don't actually return anything from persist state. This is a void function. But I'm going to void this anyway. Just to be defensive. And so now we get our stuff back because now we can actually now we have the effect in the right place. And things are being updated inside of local storage, which is good. And we are still getting the refresh, which is good. Okay, I would consider that to be a successful refactor. I don't know if we're going to get to the editing today, because it is past 9:30, which means the eclipse has started. Not the important, not the interesting bit yet, but and initializing. Right, and actually the state key. Get item, set item. We can now actually make this const state key is equal to state, or whatever we want to call it. State key, and then state key here. So then we only need to change it in one place if we ever do need to change it. Normally you should be namespacing your local storage keys, just in case you have any third-party scripts or whatever that might write to local storage as well. But we don't have any third-party scripts, so I don't actually care. Like I said, we are allowed to be a little bit sloppy in this app because it's going to be used for a very specific use case and very specific user base. At least initially. Maybe we'll clean it up in the future. But for now, this works. I'll have to either I'll write and edit an editor on my own, or I'll just make the state object by myself, because doing that isn't going to be difficult. I do want an import and export function though. Actually, I can make do without that because I can go into local storage and then put things in. It's probably best I shouldn't. Probably best that I don't do that actually, because I will need other people to import state too. I think we'll leave it there for today though, because like I said, we do have an eclipse to catch. For anyone who just made it in, there is a lunar eclipse going on right now. The penumbral eclipse started about 15 minutes ago, so things aren't going to look very interesting at the moment, but there is technically an eclipse on right now. The umbral eclipse starts in about 45 minutes, so that's when things start getting more interesting. It's when the shadow of the Earth moves over the face of the moon. Looking at this again, this would be the umbral, where the umbral eclipse would happen, in the darker portion of the Earth's shadow. And that's when you'll start seeing the bite being taken out of the moon and the moon turning red. So that's when the interesting part starts. The maximum, the peak for that, when we're gonna get the maximum eclipse, is gonna be at around 12. What was it? It's around 12 Eastern. So it's gonna be about an hour and a half, an hour and 15, something like that. From the start of the umbral eclipse. So we're in for a little bit of a longer night, but that's how lunar eclipses go. And unlike the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse is okay, or is still good to watch even if you aren't in totality, because it doesn't actually matter too much. With a solar eclipse it does, but for lunar eclipse you're looking at more or less the same thing. 99% is still good enough. Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can take shots of that, yeah, assuming it isn't too cloudy outside, which it doesn't look like it should be, but yeah, okay. Well, with that, that's I think we're gonna end that off today here. We did make a good amount of progress, not visually because we did all the visual stuff yesterday, but we did make it persist across refreshes, which is nice. I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming next week. You will find out on Discord and also on social media if I will, because I will mention it there. If I do stream, it's probably going to be a Wednesday. If I don't stream, I'll put up a video of some sort. as usual. But if you're not in Discord, there's the Discord. What else? I feel like I'm missing stuff. I'm always missing stuff. But yeah, we will see this again in the near future. We'll be in it within the next few weeks. So watch out for this. If you see it, then you can say that you were here for when it was made. Okay. I think that's about it. I can't think of anything else. It's not really related. The Discord has a programming channel, so if you'd like to go check that out, I can follow up on this and other programming stuff in there as well. Okay. Twitch, stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid. YouTube, if the person I find is dual streaming, I'll also send you over there manually. Yeah. Alright, I think we'll leave it there. Thank you for coming, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy the lunar eclipse, and good night. Bye. I should say, enjoy the lunar eclipse if you can see it, but I think it is visible in most areas of the world. Yeah, go check timeanddate.com or wherever it is that you'd like to check your stuff. Okay, yeah, we're gonna go find something to raid. Alright, I think I've got something to rate here. We are going to go visit Fizzy Games. I've never seen them around before, but it does appear that they're looking at some documentation for something. I'm not entirely sure what this is or what language it is because I can't really see. CS? C Sharp? Or something? Yeah, it looks like C Sharp. Can't see any code on screen because they're looking at docs, but... YouTube, we're going to call it there. It doesn't seem like they're dual streaming, so we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming. Twitch, this is the raid message. If you'd like to participate, I can go ahead and copy that and paste it in when we get there. Yeah. Okay. I'm probably not going to stick around for too long because, like I said, there is the eclipse. I do want to go see that. But if you do stick around... or rather, I encourage you to stick around as well, for at least a little bit. Okay. Yeah, that's the raid message. Go ahead, paste it in when we get there. And that is it. Thank you for coming. We will see this app again in the future. And good night. Bye.